I wanted to talk about the idea of being a good person. Being a good person, I have found, does not mean you are the most liked person. It doesn't mean you are a nice person at times. It seems to mean that you are a person that does the right thing, a person who has the courage to be disliked, especially if it means he is doing the right thing. That would be not shying away from something that's uncomfortable or hard. Hard situations come up every day, and I think some people, maybe a lot of us, would rather do the easier thing. That's normal. We're like programmed to do the easier thing. Path of least resistance causes us the least amount of stress. Normal. However, I guess a good person will more often than not do the hard thing, the thing that's not easy. And I think being a good person and a person that has experience in the world, you'll be able to do those hard things and still manage to express a certain amount of sympathy and empathy to someone that you may be, having to tell maybe not great news or just having to be honest with, because you could lie to someone. Let me give context. There are situations every day where we have to tell people maybe about their performance. Maybe we have to give them a critique. Maybe we just have to go over something with them. And that happens daily, whether you're in a leadership position or you're in a work setting and maybe you're training someone. Maybe it's your child and you're just trying to guide that child into doing a little bit better because they can. They're a child, they have a lot to learn. Um, so yeah, just for context, that's the kind of situation I'm talking about in regards to a hard situation. So going back to what I was saying, doing the hard thing may require you to have an uncomfortable conversation with someone and kind of almost break the news or kind of just give them, a not great conversation. It's not going to be easy. However, I think someone with experience can have that conversation without it turning into like a fiasco. Especially if you're able to express empathy and sympathy. Um, I feel like those things are almost synonymous at times. Um, and yeah, if we are able to do that, and if you're able to do that, I think you can have those hard conversations without it being like a catastrophic conversation, without really ruining someone's day. I um I avoided a hard situation today, and I chose an easier path today. I could have chose to break the news to someone, or I could, well, do what I did, which was choosing the easier path, a path that in my mind was just simpler. And that's what I did. I did think about it though, and I thought about what I could have done differently. I thought about things I could have said, and after thinking about it, I realized I could definitely have handled the situation properly without it being an issue. But I think I was so caught up in it just being a somewhat stressful situation that I just chose to make it an easier situation. So, being a good person, I guess you have to be willing to potentially be disliked. And being disliked by some people is not the worst thing. People are, you know, are gonna like people or they're not going to. Sometimes someone will just meet you and they just don't like you. That's just normal. Very normal. Sometimes they just say it's your energy, sometimes they say it's the way you conduct yourself, and sometimes, you just got a weird face and they just don't like you. A weird face to them. They perceive it as weird and they just don't like you. But yeah, it's it's like that. And I think I need to work on not just pleasing people, but having an honest conversation with them. I can be empathetic and I can have sympathy, but I need to be able to have that hard conversation, combine it with my empathy and sympathy in order to overcome and not have my actions be like they were today. I mean, what I did today, no one's dying. It's not world changing. It's just, I did see that I avoided a hard situation and chose an easier path. And I don't want that to be a constant in my life. I want to be able to walk a path that is sometimes not as well traveled and may not be easy, because sometimes when you go down those paths, you find something that no one else knew was there. And it's because so few people go that way. So, yeah. I mean, you could also walk right off a cliff, I suppose, but hopefully that doesn't happen. And hopefully you have the eyes and ability to observe your surroundings well enough to where you don't just walk off a cliff. Because, in order to walk off a cliff, you either don't know it's there or you're willingly walking off of it. I guess you could say the cliff is a hard path, though. If the cliff is the hard path, is that when we're faced with overwhelming odds to do the right thing and we do it anyways? Could that cliff be leading to maybe somewhere we need to go? That's an interesting thought. When you're faced with doing the easy thing or doing the overwhelmingly right thing, that could lead to potentially catastrophic results, but in the end of the day is the right thing. It's interesting. I don't know what situation that would be. But it's an interesting thing to think about. Now, what defines an action to be right? So, if being a good person means you're making good decisions or the right decisions, I guess we should talk about what makes a decision the right one. The right one could be what is considered ethical. The right one could be considered the honest approach. So, I guess you could say being a good person is someone who is willing to be honest and empathetic and ethical. And I think if you combine those three things, hopefully you're a good person. Now, I guess we could also talk about what makes someone a bad person. I guess you could say they are unethical, inconsiderate, and dishonest. Interesting. Now, what is it to do, or what is it to be a good person that does or makes sometimes unethical decisions for the good of those around them? And what would that be? An unethical decisions that could benefit someone? Could that be hiding the truth in order to keep the peace? I suppose it could be. And I would say especially in a situation where there's no reason to be upset. It's not really a big deal. A big deal. So something that, in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a year, just won't matter. So, yeah. But if it doesn't matter in 1, 3 weeks, a year, well then why does it matter today? And why not just be honest about it today? See, I don't think you can be a good person that does unethical things. I think you would just be a person. And being a good person all the time is... Does one simply stop being a good person when they make one decision that is not considered part of their norm? I don't know. But being a good person is something that I have found that not many people do. When I talk to some people, I hear how they've been treated by other people. I find it disturbing. And when I hear about how other people have treated other people, I find it disturbing. I do look at some of my past actions and think about how I wish I could take back those things. Because in the end of the day, they didn't really bring me any joy, and they only caused someone else pain. And for what? Just to boost my ego a little bit? It's not really worth it. There's always one person that comes to mind when I think about this, and I always hope they're doing well. But I'll never know. And I guess I don't really have the right to know, especially after what I did. But yeah, I don't know. I wanted to talk about what being a good person was, decisions and actions you would be taking to be a good person. And yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. I did ramble a bit, talked about walking off cliffs, but yeah, I don't know. I guess that's it.